LSU tight end Foster Moreau. We'll take questions. If you'll raise your hand, we'll get a microphone to you, and we'll go right over here, start on the left.
Hi, Foster.
Hi.
Foster, what's the point of emphasis with the overall passing game this season and for the tight ends?
The emphasis is trying to get everyone involved as much as possible. I'd say that spreading the ball out to the wide receivers and getting those guys open on different types of crossing routes and opening up the patterns with a bunch of deep dig routes, and we could run some underneath routes. I think Coach Ensminger does a really good job at finding ways to get guys open and get different guys on the field in different matchups. I think matchups is probably going to be the way that we try to exploit our offense. For the tight ends, I'd say that we could put guys like Thaddeus Moss and Jamal Pettigrew in the slot, or maybe at the wide receiver position, and force defenses to choose whether they want to keep a linebacker in the game or go smaller with a safety or a corner. I think we got some really good players that could play in that F position in the slot, and that'd probably be the main way we tried to do it.
Again, if you'll raise your hand, we'll get a microphone to you for questions for Foster. We'll go back here to the left.
A lot of people are wondering what Ensminger brings to the table as a student of his. I mean, you're playing for him. Can you explain what you think his offense is going to look like this fall?
It's going to be an exciting offense. It's going to be exciting, and we'll be able to get the ball to a bunch of different guys. I think 2 years ago when he was in interim, I think we got the ball to 11 different guys on passing situations under Coach Ensminger, and that's just not something you see every day. We're able to do a bunch of different things with Coach Ensminger. The thing that I like most about him is that he's probably one of the best in-game play callers I've ever been around. He kind of calls it how he sees it, and he always has done a great job. And that's what I really like about him. I've been around him for a long time, and he's always had an aura of confidence around him.
We'll go to the camera platform in the back, all the way to the left.
So is this the same offense that it was a couple of years ago when he took over for Cam Cameron, or is this the third offense that LSU is going to have in the last 3 years?
It's the third offense LSU will have in 3 years. When Coach Ensminger took over, we had 1 week to play until we played Mississippi State. I think it was a matter of he took the offense that Coach Miles and Coach Cameron had put in place, and he tried to make that into his own as we progressed over time, but he was fairly limited in the plays that he was able to call because that was the offense that we had known. So that we've had a whole off season, a whole summer, and we've brought in guys like Jerry Sullivan and James Craig, and they've totally revamped our offense, and it's really exciting. It's really fast paced, and I think we got the personnel to be able to make it successful.
Raise your hand, we'll get a microphone to you. We'll go back here on the camera platform on the left side.
Hey, Foster. The quarterback questions are always a popular topic in Baton Rouge. You had another part of that question with Joe Burrow coming in. What does he add to that quarterback room, and has he thrown you any passes like in the off time? I know obviously he wasn't there in the spring, but just what have you seen from him, and what do you think of him so far?
I've seen some experience and some confidence, and definitely a different idea of how to play the quarterback position. He's really driven the competition this summer, and he's been the hot name on everyone's mind. So there's almost not a time when I walk in where I don't see a different quarterback throwing in the indoor on their off time. He really brings competition, and he brings competition to the table because there's nothing else that really happened that was too detrimental with the quarterbacks. I mean, I'm really happy to see how our quarterback situation works. I want to see how it works out myself. I'm just in the dark as you guys. I love our quarterbacks, and I think whoever lines up behind our offensive line will do a great job.
We'll go right down here on the end, at the right side.
Foster, do you know anything about Curry, the freshman running back coming in? Have you seen him at all, or?
Yeah, we do player run practices on Mondays and Wednesdays, and so we're able to see guys run and get in space and make moves. He's a great runner. He reminds me of Marshawn Lynch. If I need to call it and give you guys an example. I'd say Marshawn Lynch, he's an explosive runner. He's downhill. He could be a one-cut back and take it to the house. He's a really good player, and I've loved getting to see him. I can't wait to see him in camp when we get pads on.
We'll go over here to the left on the back row.
Can we ask you one more about one of your teammates?
Sure, absolutely.
Jonathan Giles. People, we've been raving about him, waiting to see him. What makes him so special from a teammate's perspective?
They should rave about him. Him and namely Braden Fajoko, guys that were able to come in and have been leaders from the start without even taking a snap. Without even driving ticket sales. They've done an incredible job for our program just from a maturity and a leadership standpoint. And I think you see that he's wearing the famous number 7 jersey. He's brought everything to this program that we could ask for him and more. I love him. He's always getting extra work in. He's a weight room warrior, and I can't wait to see how it shakes out this season with him in the slot.
But down here on the left on the front row.
Hi, Foster.
Hi.
You guys had that big comeback against Auburn last year. You have Texas A&M's number. What do you guys need to do to get over the hump against Alabama? And do you consider Alabama to be your biggest rivals?
What we need to do is, in the past, what I've seen is we've always really, really hyped up that game. From a team standpoint, in the past, that's kind of been the circle. That's kind of been the circled game on our schedule. And I think from a mental standpoint, we need to treat that like we treat any other game. We need to go into that week with the same mindset, or else it'll become too big. It'll become too big for us, and we'll be overwhelmed by what happens. I think, and what we did last year, I think we're getting closer. We've been getting closer over the years to not making it such a big deal and kind of hype it up as much as we always have. I'm excited to see how it goes this year. I love that game. It's a great game because it's college football at its highest level, and I can't wait for it.
Go over here to the right on the second row.
How's it going?
Oh, well.
So it's been a while since Georgia's been on your schedule. Obviously with the season that they had last year, you have them coming to your place now. When you saw that game come out on the schedule, kind of what were your thoughts going into your senior year now and then, just kind of getting ready for that game?
I'm excited. Georgia's a great program, historic. I knew that in the rotation of the cycles, I knew that eventually we were going to play Florida during my time here, and it couldn't come at a better time. They're a good football team, and I can't wait to play them. I want to see how we stack up against them. They got a good quarterback, they got a good defense, and they got some guys who could really run the football. I think that'll be really good for us. I think it'll all start week 1 with Miami, and we can get the ball rolling off the right foot. I think that's what we're focused on right now.
We'll go to the camera platform in the back all the way to the left.
Tight end hasn't necessarily been a prominent position at LSU. What's it mean to you personally to be selected at SEC Media Days? Is that a real bow tie, and who taught you how to tie the bow tie?
That's an important question. I'm honored, truly blessed to be here. There's a long list of guys that could have been chosen for this spot because there's a lot of great leaders on this team, guys that really represent this team well. I'm really, truly honored to be here. I couldn't express how blessed I am. This is a real bow tie. I tied it myself, and I think I started wearing bow ties in 7th grade. I think I just kind of wanted to be different, and then it just kind of progressed into, it was kind of my thing in high school, and I thought about going with a Windsor knot today because this is really kind of my first real public media day, but I didn't really think I should change on how I became me.
Go to the camera riser, front row over here.
All right, Foster, between the new offensive coordinator, you being one of the few returning starters on offense, and the indefinite situation for the quarterback situation, where does your confidence lie for the offense this season?
It lies in our offensive line. In the past years, we've had incredible players playing that offensive line, and no one really talks about it. But The reason we were able to go 3 yards in a cloud of dirt with our offense for so many years was because of our smash mouth offensive line. I mean, those guys they're so prideful, and they have such great tradition about them. I think that whichever one of the 4 quarterbacks that we line up behind that offensive line is going to do great. I mean, you could line me up back there, and I might get a couple of yards, to be honest with you.
We'll go into the back right on the camera platform.
We talked a lot about the offensive line, but that's something that you guys haven't had is that depth. And you said 7 to 8 guys. How much confidence does that lend them, I guess, in knowing that they got a lot of competition to make them better?
It gives them a lot of confidence. And the thing that you don't hear much is iron sharpens iron. Iron really sharpens iron because we have one of the best front 7 defenses in the country, I'd say. And I'm not even talking about our DBs. Our DBs are phenomenal by themselves. But our D-line is another one of the real strengths of our program. And because these guys have such fierce competition with each other, everyone wants to get on the field. It's a really good problem to have too many good offensive linemen and only being able to play 5. I think last year we had a bunch of different rotations because we had such good players there, and we had some depth there. So I'm excited to see how it shakes out this year. There's some guys that are definitely going to start, and some really good names, some young guys and some experienced guys. It'll really be good for our offensive line and really good for our offense.
We'll go back here to the camera platform on the left.
Foster, we get to see the public at Orgeron. Can you tell us about the coach that you know and that you've gotten to know inside the locker room?
He's a little different in closed doors. And guys love him because he is kind of loud. He's a little boisterous, I mean, guys love his personality and what he brings to a football team because he is just a lovable Louisiana football coach. But he's a little quieter behind closed doors. And when you talk to him one-on-one, you understand the intelligence that he brings to the game, being in the game for 51 years. I mean, we were just talking about it today. He's been coaching for I think 32 years, for 34 years, and 7 of those years have been as a head football coach. He's really a brilliant football mind, and he's one of the rare guys that you have, one of the Jerry Sullivans, I can't praise Coach O enough for everything he's brought to our football team. I mean, you see it with how dominant our defensive line is. I love those guys, and it's a direct reflection of Coach O.
All right, we've got time for a couple more. We'll go down front over here on the right.
Hey, Foster. When you were a high school player, a scholarship opened for you on signing day, and now you're here. Does that even give you a bigger appreciation for what this is all about because you were not a highly recruited player?
Yeah, I wasn't. I wasn't a highly recruited player, and that's I think for a lot of guys that plays into why they have such big hearts and why they want to succeed so badly at the next level. Again, I'm honored to be here. I'm honored to be here, Ed. And you knew me following me through high school. I wasn't a big name guy, and I never really tried to be. I always tried to do my job, and it really hit me. It hit me today when I saw a picture of myself on the big image board outside of the College Football Hall of Fame. That was just so cool, and I've always had big aspirations and always tried to fulfill them the right way. And I'm happy that I've had the people around me that are able to get me here. My mom, my dad, my family, my grandparents. I love them all so much, and I wouldn't be the man I am today without them.
We'll go back here on the back row on the right side.
Hey, Foster, you mentioned Coach O's from Louisiana. You're from Louisiana. You've gotten a lot of big recruits signing with LSU from Louisiana. How important is it to keep that talent in Louisiana with LSU?
It's really important. I mean, this is our pipeline state. It's our home territory. We want to try to keep every recruit that we can in Louisiana because it's kind of like the SEC slogan. It just means more, right? When you're playing in Tiger Stadium as a kid from Louisiana, it really does just mean more. And when you go to these away games, you're driving on the bus, and I've talked to a bunch of guys about it. We're carrying Louisiana with us, and it just means a lot to us. It really does.
All right, last question. We'll go back over here to the right, back row.
Foster, Nick Brosette, his last go-around, I mean, he's been working hard, hadn't got a ton of opportunities his first 3 years. What do you think he could bring now as a senior, and, you know, what can go right for him?
He could be one of those guys that we see, and we talk about some of the Mr. Irrelevant guys, you know, like the Debo Jones, the Duke Riley. The Donnie Alexander. He could be one of those guys that comes in his senior year and absolutely lights it up. I mean, he's definitely got the skills for it, and I see him work incredibly hard all year. He's got great guys to back him up. He's got a great partner in crime, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and when you have two running backs like that who could carry the ball for your team, that's when things get exciting. I mean, that's when you see the Ingram-Kamara combo, the Devonta Freeman, who is it? Tevin Coleman. Yeah, I was about to say Tevin Smith. That's not right. But I'm really excited to see what Nick does, and he could definitely be a pivotal part of our offense.
All right, thanks, Foster.
Thank you, guys.